Hema Hema, Sing Me a Song While I Wait is the fourth film by director Dzongsar Jamyang Khyentse Rinpoche. It's an unconventional film on identity set in the jungles of eastern Bhutan. I'm Choni Zug Selden and you're watching me in conversation with the film cast and crew of Hema Hema. We're joined by actors of the film Tshering Dorji, Lhamo, Tshering Dorji, and we also have the producer Pawo Choyning Dorji and director of photography Jigme T Tenzing. Welcome to the discussion. We'll start with the actors. I hear that we have three actors here. I hear that most of you are new to acting. Is that right, La?
Yes, I think some of us are brand new, and I think some of us have done some acting.
Yeah.
I think particularly Mr. Tshering Dorji, the hero of the movie. I think he's a veteran compared to Sadon and myself. I think we are brand new to the movie industry, and watch out.
You have worked in a couple of films before, right?
Yes, I did.
But this is a different film. I've seen the pictures from the films, and the fact that there's a mask for all the actors. I was just wondering how difficult was it for you to act?
Actually, for me, the films that I've done, the commercial films that I've done before, you know, as you can already see that the commercial films in Bhutan, we are quite loud. Mm-hmm. But unlike the commercial films, I have done some independent films, which is like where I need to be quite reserved and, you know. Mm-hmm. I got a similar feeling, but I have to say that this film is totally different. Mm-hmm. In the way that you have already mentioned that we are with a mask and all the expressions has to be done either by eyes or your body, you know. Mm-hmm. There are many times where my director, Rinpoche, just comes to me and tells me that, okay, act with your eyes. Yeah. It was really difficult, yeah. But at the same time, as an artist, it was really interesting and challenging and a very new, good experience for me.
Now, Sede, this is also your first experience, right? So tell me briefly about your role in the movie.
I have two roles in the movie, two separate characters. One is the Red Wrathful Mask, and one is Hideous. And I think the two roles are really different. Red Wrathful is more of a free spirit, and she's more, you know, daring and loud, and you notice her a lot. Whereas Hideous is, well, with the name itself, I mean, it's a really ugly mask also, and she's a little more reserved and shy, I guess. So those are the two roles I'm taking.
What about you? Could you tell me a little something about your role in the film?
Well, I act as Age, and you know, let's put it this way: if you were an alien and you landed in the boundary which I control in the movie, and you say, "Take me to your leader," you'll be looking at him.
Oh, okay.
At me, rather, sorry, at Age. So he's the top dog, the honcho, the chief, the boss, the don.
So you loved your character?
I hope it shows in the movie.
Okay. So, Bo, this is for you. A lot of the actors in the film are newer. So how difficult was it to work with them?
I think it wasn't really that difficult because as you had already mentioned and as three of them had mentioned, this movie is all the characters are wearing masks. But still, you know, there needs to be a lot of emotion portrayed through the body and in certain cases through the eyes. But actually, I think some people might see it as a challenge that we had a lot of, as Uncle said, virgin actors. Mm-hmm. But I feel like it was actually a blessing for us. Yeah. Because in a way, when you have first-time actors, there is some sort of rawness that comes out. Because I think once you act in a few movies, then you kind of say, okay, this is the kind of actor I want to be, you know. But when you have that rawness, when you have that pureness, there's also some sort of something that's really, you know, pure that comes out. And I think we were able to capture that in this movie.
For Jigme, a lot of the people in this country are not really aware of what a director of photography does. So could you maybe give us what you did for the film?
Well, I was in charge of the photography. Mm-hmm. And usually the director of photography, the DOP, I work closely with the director, and in this case it was Rinpoche. So, Rinpoche has an overall vision of the entire film, and a part of it is, a big part of it, I guess, is the look of the film. So that's where I come in, and my job is to be able to put Rinpoche's vision, or at least his visual vision, into a picture, capture it. So
We have gotten to see a couple of pictures on Facebook of the film, and it looks beautiful. Just the few pictures we've come across. Do you think it's going to be a visual treat for the people?
I mean, I hope so, but I hope it's not too much of a visual treat where it distracts you away from the story. I mean, because in the end, I feel also another responsibility on my as a DOP is to we're here to tell the story with images, and that's what we're trying to do. So we're here to serve the story, and it's nice if when we hear compliments, it looks beautiful and it's a visual treat, but as long as it doesn't take you away from the story.
Since we are talking about visual treat to Bhutanese people, for me as an actor, I really found it to be very exotic, The lighting styles that Jigme does is, I've never seen a style like that in Bhutan. Because in Bhutan we just lit up everything, Whereas Jigme cuts down the lights, Even if there is no sun, he cuts down the lights. So for me as an actor, and the type of mood that he created from the light, it really helped me as an actor to show my emotions and to be in that character. So I really feel that it is going to be a visual treat not only for Bhutanese but to many, many people in the world.
So, Pawo, what do you want the viewers of this film to take from this film?
For me, that really depends on the viewer who's coming to watch the movie. As Jigme earlier said, this is a story of redemption. It is about one man's search for redemption. And for the simple film goers, people who are just coming, just to check out the movie, I hope that they're taken on a visual treat. They come out knowing the story of search for redemption, but also a story of cause and condition. We have a lot of cause and condition in this story. It is basically a story of causes and condition. But also, we keep coming back to this, but it is a visual treat. We hope from our side, I'm not going to come out and be like, yeah, this movie is a visual treat. I hope that people will see it as a visual treat. I hope people will see it as an auditory treat as well, because we tried our best to really, even the sounds, of the jungles of eastern Bhutan, we tried to capture that. But also for the filmmakers of Bhutan, I hope that they come to this movie and then they take away learning something, because we have tried to tell the story in a very unconventional way. No faces, no dialogues, but we hope that people will see there is another way of telling stories. And of course, like Tshering was saying earlier, even for the aspiring photographers and cinematographers of Bhutan, taking away light, we don't have what Jigme and the GNE and the gaffer did for this movie, try and take away light. It's not usually what I think people do here, but we did that, and I hope as a producer that when people come for the movie, this is the things that they take away.
Now, regarding the actors, but I want to ask, why did you take the film?
First of all, I would like to say that it's a film by Khyentse Rinpoche, and anyone would take it up, number one. Secondly, particularly, I'm very, very interested about the expressionless, the lead character of the film, one of the lead character of the film. And at one point, I met Rinpoche and said that, my film is going to be very strange. And I said, how? And Rinpoche was saying, just imagine Bhutanese being in a chat room, how powerful they feel, without having to show their face. And that experience, actually, I really felt it. At one point, I was sitting in the middle of a group of, maxed people. And I was also maxed. And suddenly, there's this strange energy in you. And I think it's very strong. It could be either used in a very positive or a negative way, And at one point, I was doing a bard, the other character. there were many shots, and towards the end, we took one particular shot which Rinpoche wanted. And actually, I got quite tranced in that character. Actually, I could barely remember like me as myself, you know. So in that manner, I felt very interested, because losing yourself, the power of not having to show yourself to the world is very, very strong actually. And as you and I, everyone know that Bhutan is such a small country. We know everyone, right? And suddenly, to be put in that world where no one knows you, or where you don't know anyone, it's very strange.
Tshering did the film because you wanted to get out of your comfort zone and maybe try something new, because you've done some other films before. But for Sere, what made you be a part of this film?
Well, in the beginning, when Pawo first told me about the movie, I don't think I really knew the story that well. All I heard was that there's a lot of masks involved and you don't have to really show your face much. And like Tshering already said, working with Rinpoche is something that everyone would really like to do. And especially for someone like me who has no experience at all, it was a really big challenge, I think. But at the same time, it was really exciting and something very different. So that's probably why I accepted the role.
I think I wanted to prove that, you know, I may do a lot of stupid things, but I'm not crazy, you know. So, you know, when you get offered a role like this, it's a role of a lifetime, even though I'm not an aspiring actor and I don't see it as a profession. But I've always been a fan of Rinpoche and his movies. And so, you know, when it literally fell on my lap, I was you know, more than happy.
All right. So what did you take from your experience as an actor, though?
As an actor, you know, Choni, I've always felt that acting is one of the most overrated professions and also the most privileged professions. And I think this movie, my experience in it really proves that beyond a doubt. I mean, everybody working so hard, you know, is in the end, it is for the actor to deliver, to facilitate, to make it, you know, to make it possible for him or her to deliver the lines which are written by a brilliant, you know, scriptwriter like in this case Rinpoche. And then we have world-class photographer like Jigme there, you know, trying to make you, the actor, look your best and to enable you to deliver, as I said, the lines, you know. So I think acting is truly one of the most privileged professions.
Okay. Sere, what about you? What do you take from the film? I mean, what have you learned?
Well, when you watch a movie, it's like, what, 1 or 2 hours or 3 hours, and then you don't think that it could be this difficult, but when you're actually on set, you see all the hard work that everybody puts in. And for me, I'm not going to lie, it was pretty easy, I think, but I think it's because of the people around me, and with Rinpoche, it was so easy. It didn't actually feel like work. It was a lot of fun, and he wouldn't pressure you so much also. He'd just be like, go and do your thing, and he'll direct you just a little bit or give you a few like tips here and there. But otherwise, it was just, well, me being myself there with a mask on. So it was a really good experience, I think. And like I said, challenging sometimes, but that's why it's exciting.
Now, I know Tshering has already told me how different this film was from the other films, right? So why don't you tell me what was one experience, or maybe a couple of experiences if you want to share, that is ingrained in you, it's there, one of the most memorable?
Actually, you know, this entire journey of Hema Hema has been a wonderful experience. In fact, the best experience in my career of film. Starting from meeting Pawo, you know, Rinpoche, everything, it's so wonderful. I can't really pinpoint any of the moments, but I would like to really say that, you know, I've always been bothered by Bhutanese acting. Always. Because I always tell my colleagues, my friends, saying that how less is our language, you know. Even if you look at our language, it's a very, very limited number of words, actually. That is why, because of the shortage of word, Bhutanese, actually, we communicate at a different level, you know. The subtleties of acting is so much there in our culture, in our daily life. But unfortunately, those are losing, you know. That's why I always wanted to do theatre and revive that. But this time, doing this film, it is like I felt, wow, this is it. Actually, this is how Bhutanese film has to be. So much of, so less, you know. Yet it's so much. So I really feel this entire film has given me a very, very profound stage, or rather a platform to experience all sorts of Bhutanese nuances of acting, actually. So the entire film is a exciting, unforgettable memory for me.
Okay. Pawo, the next question's for you. When people think of a movie directed by someone as Dzongsar Jamyang Khyentse Rinpoche, they naturally attach it to being religious. Religious. Is it religious? Hema Hema.
You know, the thing is, having a director like Rinpoche, we cannot escape this religious tag. I remember when he first made Travelers Magicians. This was about 15 years ago, right?
15, 16.
Yeah, I remember I was a high school student here, and I went to watch the movie. And a lot of people who came to watch the movie came not because they wanted to watch a movie, but because they felt it was a blessing to watch something that someone like Rinpoche had made. So I think it's very difficult to escape that. If he makes a movie like Vara, people will still think like that. But then, of course, it's difficult to say Vara is religious because it's set out in supposedly in India.
Yeah.
But with Hema Hema, I mean, we do have a lot of chums. We have, the tales of what happens in the Bardo coming out. So in a way, there is some sort of religiousness in this movie because we are telling people what happens in the afterlife. We talk about, as I said earlier, cause and condition, the law of karma and all that. So in a way, if you look at it that way, yes, I think so. But even if we didn't have, it's like I keep going back to it, but it's difficult to escape it. Like for example, in certain scenes, we had 300 extras. And we had to go out and get people to come be extras. At first, we thought that would be a challenge.
Yeah.
But it actually became difficult to control them because people were complaining that they weren't getting the opportunity to be in the film because they felt like to be an extra, there was some sort of blessing involved.
Yeah.
For example, Tshering, one of his characters is the bard.
Yeah.
When he comes out on the stage to play his role, in the audience, people are folding hands, So in a way, it's very sweet. It's very sweet. But the fact that movies made by Rinpoche cannot escape this religiousness tag in Bhutan, I think it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful, and I rejoice that the Bhutanese people still, see this. I think it's a blessing.
I agree. And I've noticed in his films, having, I think, watched two of his films, Vara and Travels as a Magician, his messages are very subtle.
Yes.
It's abstract, and I think only if you're concentrating throughout the movie will you be able to get the message out of it. So I think that is also beautifully planned.
It's abstract, and also when Rinpoche's stories, it's always like, I think a lot of people, they just get used to the idea, okay, a story has to have a beginning like this, it has to have an end like this, it has to have a villain, it has to have a hero, but for Rinpoche, it's not like that. It's just a story. It's a slice of life, as you might say it.
So Jigme, is this your first project with Rinpoche?
This would be my first project that I shot for Rinpoche, but this is my second project that I worked with. I was on Vara.
Oh, okay, all right, I see. What made you decide that you want to be a part of this film?
Well, Rinpoche, he asked me about I think 3-4 years ago, right?
Yeah.
It was actually on Vara, and he asked me, hey, Jigme, would you like to shoot my next film? And but we're not going to see faces. There's not going to be any dialogue. And Rinpoche also told me I'm only allowed to use one light.
Oh.
Yeah. And then as we were in discussion, then he'd be like, a week later, he'd be like, actually, you know what? Why don't we try shooting the whole film, without using any light? So I was like, okay, Rinpoche, that's challenging, but we can try.
Yeah.
But as we progressed and as we were doing research and testing, there was, as the script was evolving as well, like there were a lot more night scenes, and then I think we came to an agreement that I think we have to use some artificial lighting for the night scenes. But actually, in fact, I would say for a lot of the night scenes we use a lot of torch lights, a lot of fire actually. So I would say about 70% of the film is at night is lit by fire.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like strategically placed, but
I see.
natural light.
But is there any particular reason he wanted no lights involved in the beginning?
I think he liked the challenge. That's what he told me. He said that we could try to why can't we try to make a movie without using any artificial lighting, and you making more use of the composition and whatever available light we have. I think that's what Rinpoche wanted to. At least that's the approach he wanted, and we tried to do that for I think most of the day exteriors. We try to use as much natural light as possible, and it's what they mentioned earlier that we cut away some of the light that was try to shape it so that we have a nice quality to it. But I think the entire film we try to use as much natural light as possible. Yeah.
How did people show their support?
Oh, I'm actually very overwhelmed by the support we got. Like I said, I think it's so beautiful that when Rinpoche's name comes up, everyone in Bhutan is so willing, be it dharmic activities or non-dharmic worldly activities like this. When I think of this, there's this one particular scene that comes to my mind. It was one of the first big scenes we shot. It was at night, 300 extras, a lot of fire. As Jigme said, 70% of our movie happens at night. And all those night shots were actually lit mostly by fire. Instead of using electric lights, we created fires everywhere. And we created everything and we went back. And I was watching it on the feed as Jigme was shooting it. And as soon as we finished, I turned to Rinpoche and I said, Rinpoche, this looks amazing. And the funny thing is, a lot of people, when they see these scenes, they'll be like, oh, they probably spent so much money on hiring people, having these lights. But in the background, you had these villagers running around, you had monks, from Rinpoche's monastery, you had the Gomchins from Bartsam monastery, all running frantically behind the scene, creating fire, creating these kerosene-soaked jute balls to create this light. And all the local villagers there to support us, and in between takes them coming with tea, them with snacks. So support-wise, it's been really overwhelming to see how much people are willing to help us.
What about the financial support, though?
When Rinpoche planned to make this movie 4 years ago, everything about it, he wanted to do it differently. Like as Jigme was saying, he wanted to shoot it with no light, maybe one light. Even camera-wise, I mean, in Vara we had 4 or 5 cameras. Here we just had one. Mask for everyone, no dialogue, half the movie is at night. So we really wanted to do it in a different way, and even for financing, we followed the same line. A lot of movies, they have big investors, they have executive producers, but with that contribution usually comes some sort of demand, or I want the movie to be this way because I gave this much money. But for Hema Hema, from the beginning, what we have done is we don't have one big investor or one executive producer who's giving the funds. This movie is entirely crowdfunded, Kickstarter. And again, coming back to the support, Kickstarter is a platform through which we can put up an idea and people can donate. They can donate $1, they can donate $50. And the sweet thing is, a lot of people in Bhutan, we don't have the credit card or the know-how to get on the internet and contribute. And another overwhelming aspect was that a lot of these people, even monks, they came to me and they said, we can't join Kickstarter, but here's our contribution for the movie. So we don't have one executive producer, we have a few thousand, I think. And, but with that, we get the creative freedom to make the movie we want. So I think you will see that, this is a movie straight out of Rinpoche's mind.
I think we also had just going back, we also had we had a very good team behind this film, in all departments. The production, art department, we had a mask department, the costumes, makeup, and that just generally makes I mean, at least when you're making films, it just makes it a lot easier, you know, to work and because in the end, filmmaking also is about the challenge. I think the biggest challenge for us is usually scheduling and time. You know, you're always fighting against time because of certain limitation to budget constraint, or you know, or certain actors can only be here at this time of their schedule. But yeah, that's I think, you know, in the art department especially. I mean, they did such a great job in creating like the environment and the illusion that we were in this space, you know. And once we got there, I mean, for me at least, it made my life a lot easier to, you know, to just place the camera, to light, and you know, to place a scene within there, you know.
I see. And from outside too. That's great. I'm gonna go to the actors now. You're all situated in Timpumola. Am I correct? Okay. So you had to leave for a month and a half to the complete east of the extreme east of Bhutan. How was it for you? Was it difficult to adapt?
In Dewathang, we were staying in Rinpoche's Shedrang. Oh yeah, and in Bangtar, Pawo and his entire team, they basically like set up places for us to stay, and we were staying in the Meridian. And there was also Taj, and Rinpoche was in Grand Budapest.
And those are tents.
No. Actually, what happened was when we first moved there, it was all village houses, and we were taking over village houses. But then it got really confusing when we were sorting out the accommodation, you know, like house 1, house 2, house 3. And already all these people, you know, we were getting emails from them. They're like, oh, you know, somewhere saying we need a proper toilet, it can't be a hole in the ground, all this. So we're like, oh, let's just have fun with it, you know. So we named it after big hotel. So there was the Meridian Bangtar, there was the Taj Bangtar.
And in the beginning, we didn't even know what to expect. So Pawo would be at the location, and he'd send us these horrible pictures of just a hole in the ground, and he'd be like, oh, this is where you're going to be, like, this is the bathroom situation and everything. So we went prepared for like the worst. But when we got there, I think thanks to their entire team, it was really comfortable actually.
Oh.
And beautiful, like Tshering said.
Sorry, but I would really like to thank, because Bangta is a place where, you know, it's like very extreme. So that's why I would really like to thank the entire team, Pawo, for making such a wonderful arrangement. You know, it was so wonderful. Forgot to tell about that. Sorry.
What about you? Like,
Well, I've been in Thimphu 3 years. I was in more luxurious settings before that. But you know, in the end, you know, we are basically, I mean, my generation, we grew up in the villages of Bhutan. I mean, and even though I do come from a privileged background, you know, there were 8 of us. We used to sleep in one room. So it's not as if like, you know, we are coming from, you know, Beverly Hills or, you know, or that I'm Marlon Brando or anything like that, you know. So it was, yes, it was difficult at times, but, you know, the extent to which Pawo and his team went to make us well fed, well looked after, we were, apart from the, you know, certain problems in lines at the toilet and stuff like that, which we can live with, we were really enjoying ourselves.
So much so that every one of us on the set has put on weight, actually. Everyone.
so, Pawo, in your earlier interview, you've mentioned that you have a very young crew. So how was it working with them?
Well, when we first started forming the group for this movie, it was our intention to really, because Rinpoche had instructed me that when you get the people, try and get people who will learn from this experience. So it was our intention to pair up Rinpoche's reputation, Rinpoche's vision with people who are young, passionate and keen on learning. And that being said, our crew, it was mostly made up of youngsters. What do you think our average age was?
That's probably mid-20s.
Yeah, it was mainly all mid-20s. And of course with that, you know, there were people who were saying, would you really be able to make a quality movie with people that age? But again, like I said about the actors having that rawness, even with the crew, you know, we had this youthful energy, you know, the zest to learn. They were so, they wanted to do everything. They wanted to, you know, try their best. And, you know, I couldn't be more proud of our crew and also our cast. Everyone worked so hard. And when we first made up the schedule, we had, I think, about 45 days shooting we thought we'd be doing. But we finished 2 weeks in advance, which is really, it shows how much everyone worked. And, I keep saying this, but I'm so proud of everyone. On our off days, the entire crew would go play basketball, play football. They would challenge the local teams. It was a very close-knit group.
And getting hurt,
Did anyone get badly hurt?
Actually, yeah.
Playing basketball.
He got injured playing basketball.
And then we're waiting for Pawo to turn into Spider-Man.
I got bitten by a poisonous spider, but I think other than that, no major hiccups.
But Tshering did have a tough stunt, so you should talk about that.
Ah.
Yeah,
The stunt actually, yeah, it was rather really difficult for the stunt man, He had to jump from a rock which is almost like a 5 feet high, and he had to jump directly on me, But yeah, and but I should say we are very lucky and fortunate that to have a very wonderful team, where the production team, they put up a Dunlop below the ground, and everything went so well, so comfortable. But for me, I really believe that it is because of Rinpoche's blessing that nothing happened really. He had to jump on me so many times, but still nothing happened. And just before, after that scene, they were coming to me. These guys, they were coming to me and say, yesterday while we were digging hole, what we found there. And I said, what? A scorpion.
Where?
In that place where we were wrestling, where my character and the stunt man. So I said, oh, good, that's good.
Pawo, I mean, we see a huge number of masks and costumes for the movie. Now, could you maybe talk a little about the wardrobe? It's very unique from what we've seen.
When the idea was born to make this movie and the concept behind it, it was really the core message was how would we be if we did not have an identity. That was Rinpoche's message. Right now, me, Pawo, here in front of the camera, am I being a righteous person because everyone will say, oh, that's Pawo, Maybe if nobody knew me, I would strip my go off and go dancing around or something. But how we are governed and controlled by identity. So that was the message. So Rinpoche had instructed art and costume to come up with something that would not show the person's identity or whether the person was a man or a woman. So that's when, of course, the masks. But also you will see in the movie that our characters wear hoods to hide if they have long hair. And even the clothes that they wear. Everyone, there's no kira or go. But then the thing is, the materials that we used, for example, some of it are pangse. The other is tikta. Of course, tikta was, I think our grandmothers and great-grandmothers used to wear it. But I feel like suddenly, we made this movie. Maybe it's not this movie as well, but then suddenly I'm seeing a lot of tiktas popping everywhere, I'm seeing some, last time on Bhutan Street Fashion, some ladies wearing a tikta kira. I'm seeing tikta bags around now. It seems like tikta is making a comeback. So yeah, I mean, it's to take away identity, but still stay with our Bhutanese roots, the tikta and the pangse.
I see. So a huge, I think most of your budget would have gone into your wardrobe. Is that right?
Quite a bit went on the wardrobe because, I mean, we have to make costumes for about 400, almost 400 people. And, it's difficult because if you want to do it properly, we just can't get materials and make the wardrobe and be like, okay, this is it. But we had to age them. The process of, actually, I think a lot of people don't know this, but then to make Hema Hema, yes, we shot for a month, but we were in pre-production for almost a year. Mask making, wardrobe making, once the wardrobes were made, to make them, to have that particular tone to it, to make it look aged. We soaked it in tea, we smoked them, and it's a lengthy process, but I think it came out very wonderful.
as lead actors, how difficult was it to satisfy Rinpoche's expectations from you?
Well, I'm pretty sure that it's the same process with two of them. But for me, I was working with Rinpoche for quite a long time, actually. We were on WeChat, we were on Skype, and we were... The thing with Rinpoche is he gives you so much of freedom, but the thing is he educates you so well, you know. I know everything about Nyudup. How old is he? What is he doing? What did he do before, you know? These were all very, very well versed, actually. After having all those good pictures, you know, the entire picture of the character, you know, I should say that it was not that difficult. And also because Rinpoche really likes the spontaneity, you know. If anything comes up out of spontaneity, then he just likes it. And for me, I do improvisational theatre, so it was quite easy, actually. And the moment Rinpoche was on set, even if I'm not ready, you know, I suddenly get this strange confidence that everything's going to be fine, you know.
All right, Seria, what about you? Do you think you have done justice to the role that you've taken and fulfilled what was expected of you?
Well, sometimes when I think about it, I feel like maybe I could have done it a little different and stuff. I think that always happens though. But in the beginning, when I was going to work with Rinpoche for the first time, I've actually never met Rinpoche before. I've seen travelers and magicians, and I've seen pictures of him. And the first time I actually met him was on a flight, because I'm a flight attendant. So I met him on a flight, and I didn't know Rinpoche at all that time. And this was, I think, maybe a year ago. And what's funny is we know him as a filmmaker. I'm not very religious also, so I knew him as a filmmaker. And we were busy teasing each other, all the flight attendants. We were saying, oh, we should go up to Rinpoche and be like, can you give me a role in your next movie and stuff. We were pretty excited. Anyway, after that, I got a cup signed from Rinpoche, and I never thought that I'd end up acting in his movie. And I was really nervous about it the first time. But then as soon as you meet Rinpoche and he tells you what to do, and he made me do a few exercises as well for acting because I've never done it before, I started feeling really comfortable. And like Tshering said, Rinpoche doesn't ever pressure you. He always says, go ahead, do what you want, and then he'll make a few adjustments here and there. But otherwise, it was a lot of fun, I think, with Rinpoche. And you never feel pressured or like you have to do it a certain way or anything. He's not at all rigid that way. He's very spontaneous. Yeah.
What about you?
I really hope that I was able to live up to the expectations of Rinpoche, because I think Rinpoche is such a compassionate teacher and a director, and it comes through in every interaction that he has with other people, I feel. And I also feel that Rinpoche is not an in-your-face type of director or a teacher. I think, if you want teachings from him, you go to him. If you want direction from him as an actor, you ask him. But I found it very as I said, I found him to be a very compassionate, very full of understanding and full of, room, and gives you the freedom to try out things, So I really have no idea how I did, because our producer rightly forbade us to see ourselves on screen. And so I have not seen a single frame of myself acting, so I have no idea how I acted. I did act in a couple of plays, so in plays you tend to overact, because you have one shot and the audience sitting around, and your voice has to carry to the last row, So my biggest worry was that I would overact, and Rinpoche did not tell me so. I kept asking him, Rinpoche, am I overacting? And he kept saying, no, you're doing fine. So I hope that it is so, and that the audience and the others will also be as kind.
So was there a script? I'm just wondering, there was no dialogue, right?
Choni, going back to what they were saying about how Rinpoche works, me being his student and also working for him in other fields other than film, that is just the way he does things, He gives you total freedom, and it's up to you how you want to do it. But of course, unless you do something horribly wrong, he's not going to step in. But also, when we first got the script and decided how we were going to shoot it, from production side, what we were planning to do was we will shoot all the easy scenes first and then build into those major scenes. The major scenes are, of course, scenes where we had about 300 extras. it was at night scenes where we were shooting from around 7 p.m. till about 5 a.m. in the morning. So these scenes, when Jigme and I looked at the script, we were like, okay, we should plan that towards the end, where we are more experienced, we know what's happening. But then we got to the location, Rinpoche looked at the schedule and he's saying, oh, let's do the difficult scenes first. So it was really initiation by fire, as we call it. The moment we got there, we were thrown in the forest, having to handle 300 extras, fires everywhere. But I think, it shows Rinpoche's confidence and trust in everyone. So it was good.
As you were asking, like were they not expecting a little more guidance? I think unless someone is really trained or who is a veteran actor, if there is so much of guidance, I think it then creates a sort of a illusionary character. It gets into their head, and then that is a big problem actually. Then it will take that character away from the character that Rinpoche wants.
We've built up enough excitement for Hema Hema now. When can we expect the movie in theatres?
Well, earlier than expected, I think, since we wrapped 2 weeks in advance, and the post-production has already started. But then for these films, it really depends on if and when we get selected to the film festivals that that we are applying for. I think as when we make films, it's always good to be hopeful and to aim high, right? So there are all these international film festivals that we're aiming for, and these, if we get accepted to these festivals, that's where the world premiere will be. But of course, we are planning to have Bhutanese premiere as well. So I would, if everything goes right, hopefully, and if we have the blessings, I would say sometime in springtime, you would have it.
And is it going to be like the Bhutanese films that are going to be in theatres for a while, or is it just going to be, because Vara was only there for maybe 2 days, yeah.
Well, I think if people want to watch it, it will be there. I always say for art to happen, there has to be the appreciation as well. So if the audience demands it, of course, But sometimes, for example, if I think certain filmmakers as well, they show it in their home country because they need it as a requirement to show it in other festivals. But I hope there is a demand for this film in Bhutan, because it is made by mainly Bhutanese filmmakers, and it is really a celebration of Bhutan. There aren't many dialogues, but whatever dialogues we have had, we have really thrown every language dialect we have. We have Dzongkar, we have Shachop, we have Bumtangpa, we have Khyentse, we have Lhotsamke. Everything is thrown in there, Every language of Bhutan is in there. That was done on purpose. And then, the actors as well, mostly all Bhutanese, I would say 99%.
And what about the 1%? Where are they?
No, that's a surprise.
Oh, okay, all right. So, any last words from you guys?
I've said this before as well on BBS before, but what is an artistic film? What is an alternate film? It's really relative, Last time in my conversation with Sonam Dema as well, I said it. If people see Rinpoche in Bhutan, for example, Sede was saying that she knew him as a filmmaker. In Bhutan, he people see him as this commercial filmmaker, Or his films do well abroad. It goes to film festivals, He gets these big budgets and all that. But then if he goes to another place, everyone's, oh yeah, he's that small-time Lama/filmmaker, art and alternate cinema. So it is. Everything is very relative, I think. But since everyone is saying that we should end it up and say some last words, Tshering has just asked me to say something. And I think as we finish, I would like to share what Rinpoche said when we wrapped. He said that sometimes, to show people the truth, we have to create illusions. And we artists are makers of illusion. And he was saying that artists have to be brave, have to have the courage to be true to their heart. And I think that is so true. I think all of us, I'm not necessarily saying this to the artists, but everyone in general, you know, it's so important to be true to your heart and follow what you want to be.
So thank you so much for being a part of this discussion. We will be seeing Hema Hema next spring, you said, hopefully. All right, and thank you for watching.